started with a date night, a rare kid-free outing to our favorite Mexican restaurant. The chips were warm, the beer was cold, and my husband says to me, "I want to talk to you about commercial poultry." This was not the sweet nothings I was looking for this evening. So I order another beer, and I settle in to be a passive listener, a very passive listener. He starts off talking about egg systems, cage systems, and this is a very efficient system. The birds eat from the trough in the front, they lay eggs, their eggs roll to the track below, and they're whisked away to a washing and packing facility. It's very efficient in that there is very little land, there are few workers, and it's made Americans addicted to cheap eggs. And it seems like it'd be great for everybody, except maybe the bird, and it's not, I don't think, great for egg quality. But then he's talking about cage-free. And cage-free birds really do have it better than caged hens. They get to roam around a warehouse. I'd like to say that it's a little bit like living in a casino. There are no windows, and they have no idea what time it is. Pasture-raised. This is what Jason really wanted to talk about. These birds are salad-eating poultry athletes. They are out there eating bugs and flowers and seeds and wrong place, wrong time frogs. They enjoy the wind in their wings, and this is when Jason chooses to tell me that this is the farm he wants to start. And now I'm listening. I'm listening so hard I could pop a blood vessel. And all of this devolves down into the farm-gument, our very public farm argument. There is whisper screaming, where I say things like, "We are not farmers," and I make salient points like, "Last week you were unable to correctly identify a pear." He spits back, "You cannot stand between me and my dream." And I start to cry, and crying becomes sobbing, and because I'm not a pretty crier, I honk, and my husband sleeps on the couch. And not long after that, Jason's workplace restructured, and he was laid off from his job as a grant writer, which gave him plenty of time to talk about this farm and to just really need this farm. And then I acquiesced if we wrote a business plan, if we had a business coach, if we attended farm conferences. And I'm just saying that it doesn't always work out the way you want it to. So we started Locally Laid Egg Company. We're the first commercial-scale egg company in the upper Midwest, pretty much because no one else was stupid enough to enter this wide-open niche. We made a big leap from backyard hens to a mid-sized commercial flock. And we knew it was going to be very difficult. But the most difficult thing was actually buying the chickens. It was procuring the pullets that was really hard. So if you're not familiar with this term, pullets are like sassy teenage hens, and they are just on the cusp of laying. And when you need just under 2,000 of them, you can't really go to Fleet Farm and pull those out from the kiddie pool from under the heat lamp. So Jason called commercial hatcheries, or Big Egg. He called them, and they said that they would love to give us pullets. Minimum order, 30,000. So he did what any of you would do. He went to the internet and hired a guy. This is a good life lesson. You might want to write this down. whatever business you're starting, the main thing you need from that business, don't go to internet guy. Because internet guy kind of took all our money, and then we didn't hear from him for a really long time, despite us trying to get a hold of him, until one day he just called and he said, I've got all your birds in the truck, I'm coming. And we're like, today? You're coming today? Because that day was a rare, sweltering June heat wave. And the highways had staggering traffic, like an extra 50,000 people, because the next day was the Duluth Grandma's Marathon. That is the right reaction. The birds arrived, and they were super dehydrated. They were rough and skinny, and clearly they had not had a good chickhood. We did all our chores that day, and we kind of gathered around as the sun was setting to watch them put themselves to bed, which they're going to do because it's an adage. Chickens come home to roost. It's like poultry law. And it's getting darker and darker, and they're just sort of staring at us with that weird side eye. And it's getting darker, and then it is dark. And I gasp because I have realized that until today, these birds have never seen the sunset because they've never seen the sun. Also a very good reaction. Yes, so what we took away from that is that this is a very, very difficult industry for us to get into. Because for all the things that we thought would go wrong, the idea that chickens not knowing how to be chickens was really not one of them. What really was the problem, and it's not so much internet guy, as the farm system. So there used to be 5 million family farms, over that, in the US. And because of political ideals, farm marketing, because of marketing, all these things, market forces, the whole funnel we have had a whole bunch of farms be massively changed into factory farms. But believe it or not, we started to get the hang of this. Jason started to get these eggs into stores. We maybe got our chicken feet underneath us a little bit. And we had farmers coming to us. They were coming to be like, hey, we want to do contract production for you. And I was thinking, contract production, that's where the farmers produce eggs for you, for our brand, and we go out and sell them. And I'm like, I have done a lot of reading, and what I understand is contract production is really bad for farmers. They financially ensnare farmers into all these complicated reasons that they can't make money, and we are absolutely not getting involved with this. We just absolutely cannot. And then Jason said something rather profound. He said, we could write contracts that don't suck. And I actually hadn't thought of that. And we did. Our contract producers are really now our partners. We treat them very well. All our contracts are open contracts. Everyone knows what everyone's making. Everyone understands that they have a reasonable exit clause. And the best part is that the way we're doing it is that these farmers, they own their own chickens, which does not sound radical, right? But it is. In contract production world, it is unheard of that they would own their own hens, but our folks do. We also said you should go and meet your neighbor farmers and ask them to grow corn and other inputs, so that way you can buy that from them, and we'll help you work with your local mill to grind it into our feed recipe. And even more importantly, we said, we're going to help you figure out how to build a washing facility. And this is going to give you a lot of value add to your product. And you can hire people. And these places are very rural, so folks are happy to wash eggs for a few hours as opposed to drive over an hour to be a cashier. And what this ends up doing is keeping money in the same area, and it becomes an economic amplifier. And that has made a huge difference. And I'm not saying that we can take all the credit for this, but Pine County, since we've been working with farmers there for over 12 years, they're slowly pulling themselves out of poverty. This is a big deal, but not as big a deal as two of our partner farmers were actually able to buy land they had been renting for decades. And what this really does is give them financial stability for their families ongoing. So we really looked at this whole thing differently. Instead of doing the textbook vertical integration, where we own the chickens, we own the feed, we own the washing facility, we're just extracting cash. We did a radical win-win where these farmers were able to share in the value they were creating. And we did this all while growing a business. It's not like we're a poultry-infused charity. They really helped us gain capacity. So what I hope you take away today is that when systems are created in which people get to have some autonomy, have some control over the value that they create, the economic ripple can become an economic wave, and that can make a community thrive. So be a good egg. Thank you. There we go.